Welcome to Inside Sports Kansas. I'm your host, Asia Cymone Smith, and today we are talking Chiefs run for a Super Bowl title. I'm joined by none other than the Micaela Day. And Micaela, you're no newbie to covering the Chiefs, right?
That is true, yes. Covered them for, 6 seasons now? Year 6? Yeah.
6 seasons. So you've seen it
Uh-huh.
all, pretty much.
Pretty much, yes.
You've seen what? Let's see. 4 Super Bowl appearances, 3
Uh-huh.
Super Bowl titles,
Uh-huh.
2 back-to-back,
Mhm.
and now this season going for the three-peat to be the
Mhm.
first team ever to do it. But, there's a lot that's going to go into it before they can do it. It's never going to be easy. And, last year, the win came in overtime.
Yep.
That was insane. They've kind of been on track, though, this regular season. They've had a lot of really close games, but they're finding ways to win.
Mhm.
I feel like that's the most valuable thing, right?
Right, I think they won, 11 one-score games or something like that, and the true mark of a team. I was a bench warmer in high school, so, I would come off the bench, I was just there for the vibes, but, after covering a lot of different teams year in and year out, the true mark of a team is if they're clutch, I feel like, and this team definitely is. Patrick Mahomes proved himself. Actually, ironically, I feel like in that Houston Texans divisional round game, in 2020, when they came back being down 24-0, and won that, and then went on to win the Super Bowl that year for their first one in 50 years. But yeah, this year's team is really special. I mean, their best record in franchise history, 15-2.
Yeah.
It could have been 16-1, but they didn't play their starters in that regular season finale. But yeah, it's been special to watch this season for sure. It was almost like pinch me moments per se, like toward the end of those games. Even that Broncos regular season win earlier in the season. Or even the season opener against the Ravens. And I loved how each win had like a different explanation for it. Like it was the toe game against the Ravens for the season opener because,
Right.
his toe was like
Isaiah
right there
Likely.
on the line. Yep. And then, obviously, as we know, the blocked kick and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's fun to watch for sure.
That was an incredible moment. That
Oh,
kick
yeah.
was, I feel like,
You were there for
brought
that.
the energy. I was there for that
Yeah,
one.
I wasn't. Yeah.
That was a crazy one.
Uh-huh.
And the reaction, it was just, I've never felt something like that. I'm sure you have since you've, seen them
Mhm.
go all the way. But
Mhm.
they've got some wrinkles to iron out. This
Mhm.
year's team hasn't been perfect. They've been clutch, like you said. And one of those wrinkles, I feel like, comes at left tackle.
Mhm.
They've been switching guys in and out. Wanye Morris with injury, DJ Humphries with
Mhm.
injury. Now they're rotating between a few choices. Do you think that's going to be a problem in the playoffs?
Yes and no. I think first off, no, because it's Andy Reid and that clutch coaching staff, and they always figure it out. But yeah, it's been tough to see this offensive line not perform well. Granted, it was a season full of injuries too. So they had a lot of things to wrinkle out. But yeah, a lot of people were worried because it started to look like that season 2020, 2021 when they went to the Super Bowl and played against Tampa Bay. And as we know, Brady and the Bucks beat them, and that offensive line was horrible in that game. But they were dealing with injuries, and so it was interesting to see this go around. They brought in DJ Humphries, and then for him to get injured. I mean, as we know, the game is all about injuries, but to see it week in and week out, and they were even just trying to fix it there at left tackle, but then he got injured, so they moved Joe Tooney. They performed well with Joe Tooney at that left tackle position. I know Andy Reid said this week that he's still, they're still shuffling who exactly they want at starter. But it was, and the other guys too, Wanye Morris and Kingsley Suamataia, they're only rookies. I mean,
Right.
Wanye is in his second year too. So you expect a lot for that blind spot position to protect Mahomes' blind spot. So it's a big deal, and it takes a lot of trust and a lot of like veteran experience to be able to perform that well in that position. So it's a tall task, but I think Andy Reid and Andy Heck, they got that. They'll figure it out.
Right. And Reed said that he's been rotating between Joe Tooney, Mike Caliendo, and DJ Humphries. He
Mhm.
said they're all good options. So, don't know exactly who it's going to be, but sounds pretty confident in that, which I think is a good sign.
Mhm.
They head into the divisional round of playoffs, taking on Houston. And it's also going to be extra important to protect that side because of Patrick Mahomes' ankle injuries. We've seen that a lot. We saw it once this season.
Yeah.
We saw it in 2019. We saw it in 2022. That's going to be pretty valuable, but he is able to kind of work with it. And actually, this season, the first time he worked with it was after his sprained ankle against the Browns was the game against Houston. And they were able to pull off the win there, of course, 27-19, going up against Houston again now at home. What is kind of your first impressions of how this divisional round will play out?
Well, first off, I don't think people thought the Texans were going to play as well as they did against the Chargers in that wild card round. As we all know, everyone favored the Chargers to win that one, and clearly they didn't perform well. But not only did they not perform well, the Texans defense looked so good. And they just are able to fly around, get takeaways. Because as we know, they lost Stephon Diggs, they lost Tank Dell actually in that Chiefs game when they lost last time they were at Arrowhead. So the offense with Joe Mixon with that running game looked fine to me, but really I think the Chiefs can't overlook that defense, and they know they can't. And even Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes said this week, they're like, "Yeah, we know that this defense is tough." So yeah, I feel like they just need to score early and score fast because that's not what they did against the Chargers. So they need to figure out some sort of offensive game plan there, but then keep it as it is on defense against Mahomes, because also against Herbert, which granted Herbert didn't look as good for the Chargers, but they picked up 4 interceptions. I mean, so if they play that well against Patrick Mahomes, kind of take away his magic, take away his sparkle, because as we know, the offense is special in Kansas City, even though the defense has picked up in recent years, and they've kind of matched each other. But yeah, that Texans defense is tough. So I know that the Patrick Mahomes and the guys are, I'm sure, worried about that.
Even more reason to watch. And last time the Chiefs and Texans met, also in the playoffs back in 2019, en route to the Chiefs' first Super Bowl title in 50 years. And then the Chiefs all time 10-5 over the Texans. But, elevated level of play when it comes to the playoffs. They do have that home field advantage. And we know Arrowhead, the energy there is always great to be in. So this will be an exciting one, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and especially because last year they didn't play. They didn't have home field advantage. They had to go on the road. So that's why I know even this year there's that just elevated emotion, the fact that they're back, and they won the AFC West crown for the 8th straight year. And yeah, hopefully they can punch it to another AFC championship game. But that's really where it gets scary, because then they could face the Bills or the Ravens, and those are really tough teams. Not overlooking the Texans, of course, as the cliche goes. You don't want to overlook anyone, but that AFC championship game would be tough too. So, but at least they're at Arrowhead Stadium in front of those fans. We walk in the parking lots a lot, and we smell the tailgating food. They're always out there, the night before at 11 p.m.
Forever.
Literally spending
camped out.
An overnight stay there.
Right.
I mean, they're legit Chiefs Kingdom for sure.
It'll be exciting. And I don't want to overlook it either, but my guess would be Bills and Chiefs meet again at Arrowhead in the championship. So never know, but that's what
I guess.
That's what I'm feeling right now in my bones. I don't know.
Gotta put some money on it then. It's legal in Kansas. You can sports bet.
I don't know if I'm that confident yet.
Yeah. That's $10-20, not bad.
True. All right. Well, thank you so much,
Yes,
Micaela.
thank you.
It was so great to have you here today. Thanks all for tuning in to Inside Sports Kansas, and we'll catch you next time.